Hey. I need to stop laughing. Hey everyone, welcome back to Themis and Thought. Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking. Go and get that. Today we have a lot to talk about. I don't know why I went to on someone's recommendation, I went to Madame Noir, and on the page, I started watching a ton of videos and not including the one that I was sent. So we're going to watch that together today. One of the people that is in this video, I don't trust, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So let me start this intro and then come back. Oh, this has anyone seen the Ask a Black Man YouTube content? Um, I think this is what we're going to be talking about today. Themis, the only Black man YouTuber I can watch. Let me get my tea. Um, I have Spritzer today. Welcome everyone. Actually, before we get into it, let's do the debate first, right? So I know a lot of people. Oh, by the way, my hair. Someone just pointed out my hair. So the reason it's like this is because I washed it today, and it's still drying. So I decided not to twist it. No mud water. No. I was drinking mud water today, and I think I found a recipe which I will let you guys know about soon that I actually like. So um not a wash and go. Yay, you can finally make a life. So yeah, my hair's not gonna stay like this. I just needed it to dry, and I don't do blow dryer because I think it's ridiculous. For me, I can't do it. I mean, I didn't know it was a thing until I tried it. All right, let's talk about the debate. It is okay to not agree. I don't know why I'm out of focus. Let's push, come closer. Oh, thank you. Well, I like compliments, so thank you. I do, Lawrence. So everyone is putting their opinions out there on the debate, and I like it. I think the one part of the comments that do kind of concern me is that I don't think a lot of us are willing to sort of take the debate for what it was, and judge the debate based on what was happening only during the debate. I think a lot of us are taking our personal biases and we are using that to judge the performance of the people who engaged in the debate. And so one of the things that I would caution is I think that we need to do more of these debates, but I also think that a lot more people should try to be involved in the debate. Because the truth is, when you have two people, it's very difficult, I think, to capture a lot of the sort of nuance in various topics that needs to be captured in order to have a fully, not even complete, because you can never be complete in your argumentation, but a more fleshed out conversation. I am extremely proud of both teams. I did not help them to prepare. I met with them once to kind of go over the structure. So the moderators and the people who engaged in the debate actually worked tirelessly together to sort of come up with their ideas and their theories and then present it. The judgment that was made was made by someone who I believe to be conservative and then someone who I believe to be liberal. These two people came together as the judge, and they agreed in terms of the outcome. I also agree with the outcome, and I agree with the outcome because I do think that the the way in which the Yes team structured the argument literally was in line with the score sheet, right? And how the scores were made. The no team did extremely well also, right? But what happened is, I think the opening for the no team, I think was a bit more relaxed. And I don't think the stakes were as high for both teams. And similarly for the conclusion, I think one of the parts of the debate that I enjoyed, that I'm going to be doing more of, is me pushing back. But again, you can disagree. I think it is important to disagree with the outcome. And I like the disagreement because that means, in your mind, at least it was closer. And people having different objectives means that when you watch the people who engaged in the debate, there were sort of captivating moments on both teams, and people enjoyed both teams, and I mean, I can appreciate that. But going forward, I would love for you guys to be more involved in the judging. I am very cautious. I am extremely cautious about giving you guys that power. And the reason is, I do believe for a lot of us, our personal biases will triumph, right? So that's what I'm going to say for that. I actually will give you guys a moment to, if you guys have something to say regarding the debate before we get into this, please feel free to come on and talk about it, criticize me, criticize the debate, criticize the structure. Any of that is good so long as it is constructive, right? I don't mind. And I won't really push back. I'm here to listen to you. And I'm fine with that. Yes, your pushback was fire. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I enjoyed the debate. Both teams did well. Oh, new here, new themas. No, I'm literally I watched it today, and I feel like it looked a mess, but it is what it is. Tomorrow I have to go to the office. Concern, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, loved the debate. I was thinking about from a scoring perspective. I know you were concerned about personal biases. What do you think about having like a people's choice versus a winner, just as an idea, so that, I mean, if you wanted to run a poll separately, like Google has free polling or whatever, or a live poll through Instagram, something, whatever. But the idea being that you separate it out so that you can hear back from the like the more structured, you know, results, as well as the people's choice, just to kind of get that perspective as well.
In the original debate, we were going to have a people's choice, which would have been a singular individual, not the team, right? And we decided not to do it, not because we didn't want to, but because not enough people signed up to be a part of the team, right? And so only having two teams instead of four, only having two people per team instead of four, meant that we had to sort of restructure the way that the debate was going to operate ultimately.
Curious to know, I know that you mentioned that, you know, the kind of recruiting for this took a while. Curious also to know, like, if you would be willing to extend the debate, because I am assuming, as a lawyer, you probably have done a debate yourself once or twice. I don't know if that gives enough time, if it's only 2 hours, just because, like, I like when I was listening to it, I wanted to hear them speak on things more. I felt like it was too short personally. I wanted to kind of go through more ideas and think about some of the other questions that came up in the chat of like thinking through not only the idea itself, but like some of the consequences of, thinking that racism is or is not the main problem facing the Black community. So I just wonder if there were more cooks in the kitchen, if you will, if you'd be willing to extend the debate time.
Um, yes. Well, if there were four people, I would feel better extending it. If there's only two, then I don't think that would be the best use of our time, particularly because I think it is important that we, and I'm saying this, knowing how long winded I am, that we need to be more succinct, right, in the way that we articulate some points, particularly in a sort of scholastic or academic setting, right? So, I mean, one of the framing that I saw on, you never asked me about this. I don't know why I'm going into it, but one of the framing that I saw on the community tab was someone said one of the things that they wish had come up was that community is defined more than a singular group in that community. It's made up of different groups. And so if we think about Black men as a group within the Black community, Black women, children, LGBT people who are not Black men, who do not consider themselves man or woman, then we can think about what detrimental is, and challenge is, and that death and being attacked would be the biggest issue. And then we could define who is doing that attack. And then we have a theory to work on in terms of sort of what the biggest problem is. And then if the no team went with this, there would be sort of a robust sort of area for them to attack in. But I think the no team was also very specific about not trying to blame. And this is from my perspective. And because of that, it felt more like batting back some of what the yes team was saying, which was more theoretical instead of straight up answering. And so I think that might have, well, I don't think the judges said that might have been a problem, but you have to be able to articulate that in a sort of succinct, direct, and straightforward manner. So for two people, I would not extend the time. If there are four people or more per team, then yes, I would definitely have to put the time out because each individual might have a different theory about what the debate will be or the prompt. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully it did.
It totally did. And I wanted to congratulate the Yes team, but also share my own story today that I referenced what they brought up, because I was talking to a coworker today, and the idea that racism is so pervasive that, just some of the applications that they brought up, and I'll step down now just to kind of say, obviously congratulations, but letting you know that like your message is spreading, I guess. That you think about how teachers treat kids, and how that extends to the way that people see themselves and the things that they're willing to try versus not try. And so much of it is personal choice, but also racism infiltrates your mind and your self-image. And so people can be wildly talented but never realize their talents because they might be seen in a certain light and therefore feel slated to a certain outcome and not really push themselves. And so just sharing that, it was really interesting because I've never been to a debate personally, but I really appreciated how applicable the takeaways were and thoughtful both sides were in terms of how they thought things affected things. So I thought I'd share that as well. And I'll jump down to give other people a chance to speak.
Yeah. I mean, you were the only one up here, but yes, thank you. Let's see. Jaren says, 8 months talking about Black men being a scourge on the Black community. Now the yes team wins. LML all over the place. I think you might be upset still from the last time we conversed about you not adding things to the conversation. So I'm going to assume you are, but I'm still going to answer you anyways. Um, the debate was not about what is right or wrong generally. I mean, I think one of the problems with debates is that the 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 right team doesn't necessarily win, but the team that is most in line with the scoring card for that day will win. And so because of that, uh I think a lot of people go away thinking, oh my God, my position is bad or wrong. But it doesn't mean your position is bad or wrong. It just means that at the time of scoring, the people who were scoring chose based on standards that were met in the debate. And again, there were a lot, well, at least one very conservative person judging, and then one very liberal person judging. So that. Someone said, "Ooh, Timothy is so casual and eloquent. You might miss he's reading you." I hope Jaren did miss that. Jaren, it's about strength and complexity of argument. Yeah, I mean, thank you, Lawrence. Dean, go ahead, and then we can move on to the video.
Hey, James, am I coming in? I'm driving, so I don't know if I'm coming in.
Yep.
Okay, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that format, and you bringing that to YouTube and elevating people's consciousness. When you said, leaving it to the commenters or leaving it to the audience to have a vote, I personally, you could do whatever you want, right? But
Yeah.
I personally don't think that would add value. I think it would almost reinforce more of the, I don't know, reinforce more of the echo, so to speak, and having separate judges kind of look at the criteria and make assessments based on how the debate was done can really stretch people's minds a little more. Because I think most people, with the comments I read was mostly no, but
Yeah.
the way how Team Yes laid down their debate was so compelling that it allowed someone who maybe thought no to maybe think twice and say, okay, maybe there's a little bit of gray here or some more nuance than I initially thought. So that's just my 2 cents. Again, great debate.
Thank you. I actually really like both teams. Actually, I'm going to give a couple of feedback in a moment about the debate and why certain teams would be harder than others. I'll explain something about the prompt in a moment. Go ahead, Autumn.
Oh, hey there. I'm just catching up and just catching in. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You look beautiful. You sound beautiful. And I'm very excited you're on.
Don't gas me up like that. Hey. And hey, fam out there.
Hey. So you said you're catching up now. So people are talking about the debate. You were a coach for Team No, correct?
Yes.
How did you think the judging went? Putting you on the spot.
Of course, I'm a little bit biased to my team, of course. And yeah, we have to take a loss on the chin, but I can understand the fairness of it and the caliber of judging in it. So I support the decision. Um, sick, not just because of the fact that technically, I think that Team Yes did kind of complete and do a really good job. But again, excuse me, I'm stuttering over my words because I want to be correct and fair and not just say the first thing on the tip of my tongue. But in terms of citing and technical execution, they did a phenomenal job. So did our team, but they just did it in a way that was a lot more by the book, a lot more protocol. And so I have to give it flowers where flowers are due. Yeah.
Thank you. I did not pay her to come on and say that. But so here's the thing. Before we move on, let me explain why it was so difficult also. I'm gonna, for the V you asked, this is the video. I'm posting the link to the video in the chat. All right. So team no.
Uh-oh. Themis, did you freeze? I
Why
think
this
you're
is,
frozen on my end.
I was frozen. I saw it too, and my internet is being weird.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so team no's argument is very straightforward, but it can be used against them in other situation. So I think team no was being careful as to not place blame, right? But also say we can all have individual sort of accountability and agency. If you don't put forward someone or something to blame, and you're saying racism is not the biggest issue, then your argument is going to be floating a bit, right? You can do it, but it becomes a lot more technical. So it is the easiest position to hold, but you look like a horrible person when you hold that position.
It's
Right?
incredibly nuanced. And I think for our team specifically, we weren't trying to minimize the effects of something as massive and as
Yeah.
oppressive as racism for the Black community. However, we were trying to, again, open up that broader topic of the fact that racism, as bold and as encompassing as it is an ideology. And if we were able to just put that specific kind of title or definition behind it, we can empower people to look introspectively, look at our past examples, cultural differences, cultural definitions of oppression, and able to kind of put in a little bit more of an idea of empowerment rather than, again, oppression behind it. So I think we were trying to go for more of the technicalities too, but because of the nuances, it is difficult to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think we did good though.
yeah,
They
no,
did
they
good.
did. They did. Because I was actually quite worried because no one want to say, I'm going to use black men because I think it's the easiest one to use in this situation. But if you want to say black women too, right? If you want to say black women are the problem, right? If you say that, it's an easy argument to then make logically, but you're going to look crappy. If you say black woman, you would be wrong, in my opinion. But it's then very straightforward. If you blame something, it's easy then to explain why blaming that something is important. But if you say agency, it's a it's a good argument, but it's, like you said, more complex and more nuanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for the yes team, you can just blame slavery, you can blame systemic racism, you can, like, literally, I mean, you should define, and they did do a lot of defining, and they were very good, but it's a very theoretical argument, right? And you don't have any kind of social consequence if this goes out into the world because this is sort of the common knowledge, right? And so if you feed into the common knowledge, it's easier. So I think I respect the position both teams were in. Um, I I would not want to be on either team, honestly. But I also recognize that I randomly gave these people that like, it's not their position. It might be, but they randomly got assigned these positions. So it's not like this was calculated. There was none of it. I literally flipped a coin to give them a position. And I particularly wanted LB to be on yes and Autumn to be on no, or at least for you guys to not be in the same team. Because I wanted you guys to spar a bit. So I don't
I
know.
wanted to be on Team Autumn. I said I wanted to be on Team Autumn.
I wanted to be on Team
LB. But I didn't want that to happen. I just wanted to see what would come of it. So, LB, what are your thoughts on, I mean, your team won, so what were your thoughts?
First, I'm going to apologize for any background noise because I wasn't able to stay home right now. So my thoughts are that I think the team did really well structure-wise, And I understand why some people are upset about the positions. As far as debating, I see why my team won, and not just to be like, self-interested. But I also think that the other team had some good points. But I did notice, like, I understood why the scoring was the way it was, because I did notice a few things, like, as someone who's a teacher, so as someone who studied philosophy and has a lot of experience with argumentation, I get it. I think that it's a really touchy subject for a lot of people, and I want to remind the audience that it's not our personal views. I'm sure you already did that, but I'm just now coming in. I didn't see what happened before.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the important part. Like, it's not our personal views. It might be theirs, I don't know, but it was not meant to be their personal views. They were assigned a position that they had to take and make an argument. Poor Lawrence was up at 5 a.m. in his part of the world to do the debate. So we appreciate him. I feel like that's it. I don't see anyone coming on and having any further question regarding the debate. When we do debates, I think it's good that we sort of debrief. So these kinds of like after debate conversation, I think is helpful. So yeah. Thank you both. Any last words? Because we're going into like some foolishness now. So just an FYI.
I was curious because I missed it, and feel free to say no, but can you tell me like what the response was to the getting the polling from the audience?
So the poll, I didn't do a polling. Wait, for the future debates.
When I was in here earlier, like before my phone cut out, I heard somebody ask if you would poll for like to judge the debates to get popular opinion.
No, so I was thinking about, and this was, I don't know if you remember this, but the initial debate setup was going to be 4 people per team, and then there would be one person who is the best debater, which would be sort of the audience choice, but then we would have like the judges decide who the winning team is. And there would be kind of separate awards and tiers for awards, but I was discouraged because it all came down to sort of paying out money, because I don't know where these people live and I hate exchanging cash. So I hate that. 2, we didn't have enough people show up for the debate. My thought is that more people will take part in the debates now, seeing as they saw how it turned out. So hopefully more people show up. And I'm not going to do a mood competition because that might be too difficult.
Very technical, like precision.
Yeah, it's too difficult. Mooding was my favorite thing to do in law school, but it might not be people's. It might become too much. So I'll let Hope speak, and then we get into why are so many successful Black women single? Is the headline, and it's Ask a Black Man. So God only knows. Go ahead, Hope.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Hi, Famous. Hi, LD and Autumn. This is my first time calling, so I'm a little nervous.
Thank you for calling. I'll do a weird dance for you so you don't feel nervous.
I have literally watched every video you've ever had.
Oh, that is so nice. I appreciate
I absolutely
that.
love it, and I love, like, I've sent your videos to my brother. He is applying for law schools right now. So I'm like, oh, I love this lawyer, and I love how like y'all have a lot of academic discussions, because it's like missing. Like me and him will debate things all the time. He was in the debate team, so I've learned a little, something or two from that and watching him. But I thought the debate was fantastic, like absolutely wonderful. I loved it. I just saw that the result was yes, and I agree with that fully. From my humble opinion, both teams did fabulous, and honestly, I don't even know how they had the nerve and everything. But I did think with the team no, it would have been helpful if they would had a little more citations, and then also okay. Sorry.
No, you're doing well. Please,
a cou-
please.
okay, a couple of things. I feel like in general, people don't understand that like academic debate is different. Like people really don't get like that's not you're not necessarily debating what it is you think. And then I feel like if you have a strong position in something, you should be able to go outside of it and debate the opposite of that. That actually can strengthen your own beliefs and then figure out where you have holes in your logic. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you should be testing your views and not just like if they don't stand up to scrutiny, then what's the point? You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like so many people are so fragile
Yeah,
that and this yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I completely agree with you. In fact, I think when people debate for academic purposes, they should generally take the side that they don't agree with.
Exactly. And it really is it's not just an exercise in like intellect or academia or whatever. Like in real life, this critical thinking is very important, and I feel like more and more like I'm not gonna go on a, on a whole rant about it. It's very important and missing in our lives. But yeah, so that's one thing, and I'll leave that for maybe another day.
No,
But then my other thing is for the team. No, they did a really good job, but I was thinking the whole time, it's like I do understand that you're saying that they had a harder position, but I feel like in a way it's not, um, because all they had to do is show that yes, I would go in being like yes, racism is a huge problem, and you know all these things, but to what extent? I feel like if it's like racism is 51% of the problem, then it is the main problem of the Black community. If it's less than that, like that's where I would go and trying to poke holes and like I don't know if that makes sense.
no,
Like the
no, it does.
strategy.
So if we're thinking about the appellant and the claimant in sort of a tribunal, what would happen is Team Yes would not have to define a lot, right? Team
Right.
No would have the responsibility of defining what does biggest mean. And
Exactly.
also, they have to put someone in the seat of, or something in the seat of being the biggest. You cannot say racism is not the biggest without pointing to what the biggest is. And for them, I think they wanted individual accountability to be the biggest, but that in and of itself is a concept. And so you are going to have to define how that is the biggest, right?
Right.
And it would be great to get a broad sort of stroke and then start poking hole in why racism might not be the biggest. You could also talk about the fact that maybe there are after effects of racism, overt racism, and how that might not be itself racism, right?
Right.
And you might get away with such an argument. I think pointing to someone else when you are the defendant is generally a good way to get out of liability in a criminal case. If you can prove someone else killed the person and not you, you don't generally have to, like your innocence is then de facto, right?
Right.
So I
mean,
it,
you can almost go with like capitalism or something, but I think that would be even more complex.
yeah, right. And so I think Team No had a harder stance because of morality.
Right.
Team Yes had a harder stance instead in terms of it is very theoretical and it will continue to look like you are not taking responsibility and accountability for the community and you're blaming. And so you could drive that point home, but also it was very tamed and respectful, and maybe the gloves should have came off a little bit, but I appreciate that it was tamed and respectful, so I would not ask them to go at it. So
Exactly.
You
um,
wanted a little bit of drama.
no,
We had
not
one that
even
was
drama,
ready.
but
I'm just
I
kidding.
think they didn't speak to each other. right? And there should have been some pushback. So if Team Yes says, yes, racism, and we can look to slavery, then Team No could rebut and say, well, slavery happened how many years ago, and we are now here. And if we're talking about biggest issue, then my right to live would be my biggest concern. And who is taking away my life to live, my right to live? It's not racism, it is blah, right? It is, I don't know, junk food, it is black men, it is criminal behavior, whatever you want to say, you can put it there. But it requires defining a lot of things, defining the biggest, defining a community, defining racism, and then adding a lot more stats to it, and beefing it up. So, I mean, that's what I would say.
I would say that agree fully, and then I would say to give them the benefit of the doubt, this is the first debate, so it would
Oh,
be
no, no,
hard
no.
to
Oh, this
speak
is
to
not
one and.
speaking
Oh, I know it's
poorly
not a
about them.
critique like
Yeah,
that.
no, they were good. Like both teams, I was pleasantly surprised by how sort of good, and I mean, it's not easy, right? So
Exactly.
I was very much I was happy with the results, but I was happy with the turnout for the teams and how well they articulate themselves, and the way they thought about different ideas. So I appreciated the debate, and I do mean that. If I didn't, I would literally say, "Well, we probably shouldn't do this again."
Yeah, but what I mean is they probably went in having their points ready to go, so it's kind of hard to when you have your points and you're like, okay, this is what I'm focused on. It's hard to speak to the other team, kind of like in the minute, in the moment. Does
And
that
that's
make
the
sense?
skill that you have to develop, and that's something
Exactly.
because it's good to have your points, but you also need to hear everyone else's points. You need to synthesize or metabolize what they're doing, and then be able to speak to what they're saying. And then your conclusion should incorporate not only what you've pre-written, right, but also some of the things that were said, and you sort of rebuffing some of the things that were said. And I think it's important that we are not just sticking to the script, but we're listening to each other, and sort of evolving our arguments as new sort of evidence come to light. But
Absolutely.
they did
Absolutely agree.
well, particularly in the pushback. I felt really bad, but both teams handled me well, and I like that.
Honestly, I really enjoyed it. It's like you flipped a switch, and it was like, no, it was really like enjoyable, not in like a mean way, but it was nice to see that I don't know side of you to like you're professional. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go hard on both teams. Like that was very helpful, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they did fantastic. I would have been so nervous, but they're
Yeah. I
awesome.
mean, you're doing well right now. You should probably join a team. So,
I was definitely thinking about it, but I'm like, I'm gonna see how the first one goes and then kind of, go from there. But y'all did great. The coaches were amazing. Everybody's amazing, and I love most of the commentary in your channel all the time. So thank you guys. I'll be watching.
all right, awesome. Thank you
Bye.
so much. Will the debates always be on weekends? Most likely. We just had a new member. Sorry, Easy Breezy. Welcome, my weird membership dance. Thank you so much for being a member. There will be a ton of membership content coming. Oh, I got my loft. So I learned that today. I was in a bidding war, and I ultimately won. So I will be changing location, and yeah, I'm very excited. I've never owned or lived in a loft, so I found that it was open, and I tried to get it, and I got it. So I'm very excited. All right. I think one more person wanted to say something. So why me?
Hey, Venus, I'm so sorry. Before the next person speaks, I have to run inside. Can I just say a couple things to
Please go
everybody?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm so sorry, why me? Hi, hun. First, LB, congratulations to your team. LB, congratulations. Everybody in the audience, again, thank you so much for letting your voices be heard and giving back the feedback, because you may not know it, but it's incredibly helpful for the next debate. Also, points made, citing different viewpoints, perspective, learning how to respond, not responding, being able to multitask, different forms of everything from this debate can be very beneficial. So I just ask that people please do consider engaging. Do not be afraid. In terms of time and time consumption, it varies. You get just as much as you put in. So that's just something I hope that everybody holds on to. And you guys are amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Thank you. Bye. And that's it. How are
Thank
we able to
you.
join the debate? In the next couple of weeks, I'm trying to think next week, I'm going to put in the community tab the topic for the next debate and put the names of the moderators who are going to be coaches. So look out for that. The instructions will be there and clear. The next debate topic, we don't know yet. I'm sourcing them now. We got a ton of recommendations, and I'm very excited, but I don't know. I love a grunge laugh. Me too, but it's not even brick. And like sort of the sort of construction setting, like it's not exactly what I wanted, but it is beautiful. So I'm here for it. All right, cool. I am going to start. Oh, why me? My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, no, you're fine. I just didn't want to like drop out. I'm like behind in the actual like live chat, so I'm like, I believe I'm like 15 minutes behind you guys. So don't
Yeah.
worry. Yeah, don't worry about it. I just didn't want to leave without saying, just like thank you. So no, you're good. Go ahead.
All
I'll
right.
I'll
Awesome.
stick around, but yeah, no, go ahead. Ignore me.
All right, cool. LB, well, I'm gonna keep you up. Don't leave. I'm just gonna start playing the video, and now Why Me is gonna be in the back, so is LB. And after some foolishness happens, I'll get you guys to come up. Would be a good debate. What you should do? Why is it the black man's fault? You might not want to do that. You might not want to do that. That is a question that I'm sure most people in this chat would love to answer. So let's continue. Then switch it for the next debate. All right, cool. Let's go over to this video and we're gonna watch it together. Madame Noir, the Copyright Act allow us to review content. And because of that, I'm going to do this. This is for academic purposes and to just review what you guys are saying over there. All right, cool.
Welcome to Ask a Black Man, where we get real answers from real men. This is the status report episode where the men get real about their role in society, why women have surpassed them professionally, and how that dynamic affects our relationships. Let's meet the men.
Women from all races need to be uplifted, not just black women.
Oh, great. All right, so this is the first foolishness. Anthony Gilbert said women should be uplifted from all races, not just black women. I don't know why you would say that, honestly. I don't know the prompt, so I'm gonna ignore it for now and continue.
The majority of the time, you sit down and talk to someone, you vibe on who they are and what they're about.
Women should generally get rid of your checklist.
I wish that women would be less focused on the timeline.
Devote time to making your family better.
If a woman's confident enough, she could find anyone that she wants to. I feel black women definitely surpass men in terms of success as far as jobs, salary, education. They're definitely taking to that next step in this society now. So it's like us as black men are catching up to them now.
And I feel
we're at that pace right now, at that point in time.
It's not close. It's a blowout.
Yeah,
it's a blowout.
Yeah.
It's a blowout. We're down 30 points at halftime.
If you want to take African American history, I'm sorry, the attack has always been on us. It has always been attack first. You attack the black man first, and then the black,
foundation.
Right. So we're definitely the foundation. So we're definitely playing catch up.
Right.
But no, this is from 6 years ago. So yes, it's old. I don't agree that they're attacking the black man first. I think this ignore female trauma. I don't feel like that is. I feel like this is a common conception. Like you attack the strong people, and that is black men. I guess I don't know. But I don't agree with this. I'm gonna continue because I don't feel like it's worth getting into. So let me continue.
The reason why, at least in my opinion, is that career-wise, women have more options because they tend to be better educated. They're better educated because they tend to go to grad school more. They go to grad school more because we have to start getting money first. Like, I know so many girls with 2 or 3 degrees. I know only a few guys with a degree, and only a few with 2.
Right.
Like maybe like one dude who has like a 3rd degree.
Right.
It's not even close. But I know why that is. Like when you're in school, when you're thinking about making money, right? You got an undergrad. Okay, I need to get this job most likely. Yes, I could go to grad school. Maybe I want to even, but I'm feeling the pull of whatever finances that I need to make, whatever people think that I should have, whatever I think I should have for myself.
Right.
Women don't always have that same pull. Women could just be broke and it's whatever. Right. Like it's not even a thing. Women go out being broke on purpose sometimes. Like they go to the club, I got no money. It's like a badge of honor. It doesn't for dudes. It's not like that.
It's a badge of honor.
Like no, it is though. Like they go, I'm proud. It happens.
I know what you mean. Well, they don't have to pay to get in the clubs.
Right. And so women tend to, women can live with their parents age 30, 32. I know women who have done that. Men, you are out of there. Right. If you're a dude, you're age 30 and living with your parents, you're getting thumbs down. So the pressure to make money is earlier. So grad school becomes maybe not. Women, yes. And when they get out of grad school, they got that resume is nice and shiny. That job is nice and shiny. And that's why.
All right. Sorry, I wanted that whole segment. Rude boy said, the rude boy said, demons be setting black men up to get dragged. They're gonna get dragged for this. But I'm not gonna drag them. I'm not. I'm gonna say some stuff. So this gentleman over here, let me pull it back a little bit. I envy people like this. And the reason I envy people like this, I do, not envy, but there's a sense of jealousy. I wish I could be wrong and I didn't know what I was talking about, but say it confidently. Like he just says this confidently, right? I have never had to use my sociology degree. One of my studies in uni was sociology. Do with that what you will. But being on YouTube allows me to do a lot of the sort of research and work that I don't get to do in my day-to-day life. He says Black women are ahead of Black men because they are able to stay home and be with their family and not be judged for it. And Black men have to go out and sort of, quote unquote, get this money. This is not true, right? You can find other reasons as to why Black women are doing better and disproportionately going to school, but that they are able to stay at home and not be judged for it is not one of them, right? And he said this so confidently, but there is actually research. And the only reason I know this research exists is because I did a paper on it like in 2016, right? Now we can go to Pew Q is always doing some foolishness, right? And we can look at who get young people who live with their family the most, right? There is actually research on this. And across race, with the exception of, I think, Hispanic, right? Like, I have to look this up, but I think Hispanic, men are generally at home as young men more than women are. This is like legitimate research. So we can pull it up, at least from, I don't know. So his whole thing is that women do better than his whole thing, his idea is that women do better than men because they can stay home and they don't get judged for it, while men have to go out into this world and be fighters and make that money. One, you're not making the money, but two, we can go to white people, black people, it is what it is. In terms of who stays home more, men tend to stay in their homes longer as they grow up than young girls. Young girls tend to go out into the world. But not to mention, we're talking about who is it easier on to go get an education and then, I don't know, develop into something, I don't know. But we talk about, and I'm going to use single motherhood instead of absentee father here, single mothers, right? And having to deal with the stress of being a single parent, but also pursuing your education and then also trying to get a job. Like, when we think about who has it harder, if you want to go to systemic racism and blame that, sure, do that. But don't sit there and say the reason why women are able to do and are doing better than men in today's society is, or disproportionately at least, is because somehow they are able to stay at home. Like, no, like literally no. But it's interesting because this is from 6 years ago, and it did not age well, but beyond not aging well, it was just not true. Like, it just was not true. So anywho, let's continue this video because let's see what else comes up. And then I'll add some more people. The man missing theme is giggle.
When they get out of grad school, they got that resume is nice and shiny, that job is nice and shiny, and that's why.
What is that? Why do successful black women have a hard time finding a man? All right, God, let's hear those.
I'm gonna tell you why.
But I'll talk about this later.
I know why she have a problem, because she has friends, right? So because this woman has friends and she has this status, or that we say, right, and she has this job and she's making this money, she also has friends that are in that same catchment for the most part, right? Absolutely. Her workmates and things, they go out together. But if you got the man, your man is doing his thing, he's killing it in the bedroom, he pay all the time you go out, but he bagging groceries, you know what I mean, working at Gristedes. And it's not like she's not really feeling that, you know? I mean, you see it in movies all the time, that, you know, you want somebody to be up there with you, which I understand.
To pull you up.
Right.
I just think black women need to diversify their. I know a lot of black women who stay in one social scene.
Yeah.
One little social scene.
Right.
So I know black men
Definitely.
and be complaining. You know what I'm saying?
So
you have to expand before else a lot of these questions won't even exist.
Because the thing is that, you know, they're upset. I'm like, but you're the person who has to fix it. Like, you can complain about it and then you complain to us. But the stakes are hard for you, so you have to try harder to fix it. So, like, if you need to diversify your portfolio as far as where you're dating at, you better do it.
They don't see it that way.
You better.
No,
it's not like it's
I'll fix it.
You better do it.
No, why does she have to? You think she has to come down to date? Or
no, it's not coming down. It's just you gotta just.
But if she wants someone on her level, though, if she wants someone on her level, and let's say us as black men don't have those 3 degrees, like you said before, or has that 75K, what happens then?
Well, I don't have 3 degrees, right? But I'd be damned if you're not on my level.
Right.
Exactly. Level.
Respect.
So if that's what you're seeing and you want to go on paper, then that's on you if you want to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I dropped out of college to pursue my art. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a professional in that realm. So if you're gonna tell me that if you're a doctor and you do what you gotta do, you can still maintain. You're an artist in your field. I'm an artist in mine. So I think these things. I think women pay attention too much to the paper, to these resumes.
Do you think it's paper, or do you think it's more society that's giving them that?
It all goes back to society, because society is what creates the narratives, puts it in the media, and that's what people buy and feed into. Because the majority of the time, you sit down and talk to someone, you vibe on who they are and what they're about. But then you sit back and you look at what's put on the screen as being the definition of successful. And a lot of people end up going after that. Okay, you got to have the degrees, you got to have the particular salary, you got to live in a particular place, home, whatever the case may be. And the fact is, every relationship is so unique onto itself. It might be someone who doesn't fit any of those characteristics that you vibe with and makes you so much of a better person that you just go with it. And the rest of the people who see it might not understand it, they might not get it, but that's what you're supposed to do. Like was said in the previous time, like, keep people out of your business. There's so many other people inputting into what your relationship is. Just like, okay, well, my homegirl said and my BFFs.
All right, you're boring me. So I have a very personal bias. First of all, I hate people complaining like this. Second of all, this is my bias. I don't know how much lower Black women's standard can go. Like, these men are literally debating, like they're like, the reason she's single is because she won't date down, and her friends will make fun of her if she dates down. And it seems like no one is saying, oh, maybe we need to level up, right? And even if you're saying this is all theoretical, none of it is real, Black women aren't actually doing this, it's like, but okay, you believe that they're doing this, and you believe that they are these women who don't want to date down and all that stuff, but you are unwilling at all to level up. And by the way, let's just do another myth buster, not a myth buster, regarding Black women and dating down. You guys know the idea of assortative dating, right? I talked about this before, but it's this idea that you just date people on the same educational level and you try to build together, but like be around the same level. Orange Pill said, and I agree with the Orange Pill. Dig it. That grocery bagger example was horrible. Shaking my head. Come on, man, that didn't look good for us. It definitely didn't. So we can go to Brookings EDU. And again, it bothers me because most of what these people talk about are research. Like, if you care enough to take a minute to go look around, you will find that there is research on it. And yes, Black women are going to school and they're doing what they need to do, and at least in comparison, compared with other groups of people. And so let's read. Race is a factor, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. Let's go down here. It says, just 49% of college-educated Black women marry a well-educated man, right? By well-educated, by the way, they're defining well-educated as with at least some post-secondary education. So it's not saying you have to graduate law school or med school. It doesn't even require you to graduate university to be considered well-educated when they're talking about you in this research. It's literally saying you started and did some college, right? So, but it's compared to 84% of college-educated white women, and 84% of college-educated white women marry educated men, right? So at some point, we have to reconcile with the fact that Black women aren't dating up and their standards aren't too high, right? I actually am going to post this. I think this is a fascinating read for anyone. I'm not going to go through it because I feel like a lot of the things I've already said on this channel, but when you think about the marriage breakdown, you as a person, and I think community more often than not, but you as a person should be thinking at least about, if not the community, how do we get the most in terms of a capitalistic outcome, right? How do we get the most out of education and job opportunities and a family, right? And when you think about it in this way, even if you're going to think about it transactionally, when you do, you realize that maybe me wanting her to date me, who is at the grocery store bagging grocery, absolutely nothing wrong with that. By the way, you make an honest living the best way you can. But you also, if you're trying to build a family, would engage in the kind of self-development and financial stability that the family needs. Like, you don't beg someone to come date you, and you definitely don't chastise the only group of women who are willing to date you when you have nothing, right? And so if we're thinking about where the standards for Black women should go, for me, I'm thinking about the community, and I'm like, well, if it goes low, we're stagnant, right? But if Black women higher their standards and Black men are willing to meet these standards, then we could create a flourishing community, at least academically. if nothing else, at least academically. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. So hopefully we never again on this channel or any other channel say something like Black women's standards are too high, because that's not the case. If Black women's standards are too high, literally every other woman is higher. So, I mean, that could be your stance, but it's wrong.
Said, you know, and my gay homeboy said, and whatever the case may be, is like all these people who have nothing to do with what's happening in your private, you know, private space have influence, and they shouldn't.
But you also you learn a lot about the woman as well, because if a woman is that focused on these things, and they're not all bad. You want to have a good place to live, money, of course, we all want that.
Right. Security.
But if it's like the top of her list, it's also a good way to understand her level of conditioning.
Right.
And some people are conditioned in a way that's different from you.
For the men in the chat, what should be at the top of a woman's list for choosing a man? Because they're not in the manosphere, I don't know that, but a lot of people talk about women should be beautiful and men should have money, and that you're a 9 out of 10 or you're a 5 out of 10 or you're average at best. And as a man, I don't have to care how I look, because women don't care about physical attributes, they care about money. So it's strange to me that then we would chastise them. It's funny, we had a whole debate here about how your degree doesn't matter as a woman and your education and job doesn't matter for a man. And the Orange Pill, who is in here, actually said that it wasn't about it being valuable as a general matter. It was about it being valuable to me in terms of what I look for in a partner. What I was debating was not that, but let's take that idea, which has been repeated in the manosphere, and work with it a little bit. Not really. When we have a Brittany Renner, right? I don't know how you are confused as to why a Brittany Renner would exist. I hope that's her name, because would exist, because if that's what you focus on, and the woman shouldn't care about her job, the woman shouldn't care about her education, the woman should only care about how she looks to attract you because that's what you find valuable, then she's going to invest in making herself the best looking she can. And when she gets with you, because she has no job, this is not about Brittany Renner specifically, but generally, has no job or education, and she is there requiring that you pay for her, and she is quote unquote gold digging, I don't know why you are mad about that when you literally created a system in which that is what you ask for. Like you literally are asking for that. Like I don't understand how you don't see that. It is unsustainable for men. Like I feel like men should be agreeing with me here, and women should be saying, "Theme is absolutely not. Why are you talking about this? Let them continue to want this, so I can continue to take from them." Like I don't understand how you don't see how this is how this works out and the society that this creates. Anywho, let's continue. I'm actually kind of bored with this because they are saying absolutely nothing.
And if her condition is that negative, is that deeply entrenched, she'd be a bad girlfriend, fiance, wife anyway.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
That's what you're doing.
Wait till you get yourself on your feet. I mean,
for both.
I think it would be immature to think that, you could, everybody wants to get on their own. You want to be able to support yourself. But at the same time, I mean, until you get yourself well established, you have enough money to where you could, support yourself. You have your career in order. You should stay at home until you get yourself together. I think that'd be the best way. So when you do leave the nest, as you so call it, you'll be able to fend for yourself.
This is for men and women.
For men and women both.
I think it's for both. I'll be 100% honest. 2-3 years ago, I was supposed to move out. My job relocated to Atlanta.
All right, wait. I'm gonna get the other one. I got two for this reason. Let me say this before I do that. And for anyone who want to come in and talk for a second, you can. I will say this. I do agree that you should stay at home if you can until you're ready. It makes no sense to be homeless for some perceived manhood or womanhood. I think you should, if you can, stay at home for obviously you should have a goal to leave, but if I were failing in life, I would definitely go home. Theme is the dating coach. Peter, I need to. Apparently, I need to step up my advice giving. I don't give advice, by the way. Anything I say that sounds like advice, please toss it and remind me that I shouldn't be giving advice. But I should, because what is happening online is not it. It's not cute. Anywho, LB, do you have something to say to this?
I do, but I'm concerned about the background noise. Is it too bad?
No, I can't hear anything.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So what I will say is that this topic really hits home for me because I'm someone who has been very hard on myself about living at home. I'm 29. When I was 17, as soon as I graduated high school, I hopped in my car, went to Arizona, and I was out, and I didn't come back. I went from Arizona to the San Francisco Bay and went to school, and that was that. And that was fine because it was college years. But after college, when I got out, I moved home for a little bit. I wasn't feeling it because I wanted my independence. So I moved back out. And, it's you can move out and you could be on your own, and that's a great thing. But if you ever need to go home, it's not something to be ashamed about. I spent 6 years struggling because I was too prideful to come home and just stack my money and get myself together. And in that 6 years, I dealt with a lot of different struggles. I went through some trauma, and eventually I decided to go home so that I could be in a place where I didn't have to, where I had a support system to an extent. And I know not everybody has that at home. Mine's but just not being just exposed to the world, if that makes sense. And I understand that as an adult, you're supposed to do that at some point, but don't expose yourself before you're ready to fend for yourself, because that just sets you up for trouble. That makes you a target to predators, especially if you're a woman. And that's kind of what I have to say on that. I'm 29, I'm at home, and it's not really a problem when I date because, yes, I'm 29, I'm at home, but I make enough to live on my own. I just don't. It doesn't make sense. If I could stack money and save so that I'm able to go directly into my own house from my mom's house, then why not? I don't want to go back out there and be a renter again. Being a renter is not fun.
I appreciate.
If you don't have to be a renter, don't do it.
Yep. I think honestly, just do what's best for you, because
Yeah.
no one is going to live your life. Everyone is going to know what you should and should not do until you fail. And then no one is there to help pick you up. So do what you need to do and what you think is best for you, and don't like, yeah, I am with going home. I am with going home if you need to. And
Can I
you
say
can.
one more thing? Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know if that's music in the background, but I fear that we're going to get a copyright strike. But go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It is. Is it okay?
I don't know. I
Okay,
don't
I'm
know
so
about this
sorry.
YouTube thing.
Okay, well, I'll try to make it fast. So, the only other thing that I wanted to say is that I used to be the type of person that wouldn't date somebody if they lived at home. Like, I was very like judgmental about it. And then having to go back home and live at home at 29, I understand it a little better. And so now when I meet people and they live at home, I look at not just the fact that they live at home, but what do they do while they're living at home? Are they working a full-time job? Are they in school? Are they saving money? Are they helping out a sick loved one? Like, what's the circumstance? Because just cutting someone off because they live at home to me isn't enough.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to that in one way, and I think we might have a slight point of disagreement. Not really. If I live at home, I wouldn't date. That was me. I don't think people should. I don't tell people how to date, what to date, if they should date. But if I were at home, I personally wouldn't date, and that might be some leftover misogynoir.
No, so we
Misogyny.
actually don't fully disagree on that. I think I didn't
Yeah.
really expand on that enough. So me personally, I am in a place where I'm not ready to be in a relationship, but I will go on dates. I will get to know people, and I'm building more so friendships right now. And like for me, I make that really clear when I'm dating that I'm not in a place where I'm ready to be in a full on relationship, because I do want to be like fully stable and like self dependent when I do get in a relationship, because I don't want to go from being um, a dependent at home to being a dependent to a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said I'm being harsh when I said that. LB said she agreed. So, but I'm not telling. Again, this is not advice. So for me, LB said she doesn't do it, and I appreciate that, because we, I guess we're similar in that I would not do it.
I agree with you, Dennis.
Who is
Me
that?
neither.
I
And
think
yes,
YB. I
yeah.
agree. Like, no, I agree because I actually just left living with my mom. And to LB's point, girl, I'm 32. So I just left from living with my mom. I had the exact same situation where I went to college. I had immediately from college, I got into an internship, moved to California, where I had no family, stayed with roommates. And then, of course, when I couldn't financially support myself, I just went home. There was no point. My parents were adamant about me coming home and not struggling about building my money and getting myself together before going back out. Plus, my mom was an empty nester and she did not handle being by herself. So, and again, that's to your point, LB, about why is someone being at home? Is it like they're taking care of a loved one? For me, it was my mom. There was nothing wrong with her. It's just that she missed us. And she missed having kids, and having us home made it easier. But I can say this, I essentially became my mom's roommate because I ended up splitting the bills. Like, I wasn't just going to live there for free. So it was half bills, half rent. My little sister, when she came home, basically did the same thing. And to this man's point, from the video, my brother pays absolutely nothing. So all of the women pay, and my brother pays nothing. So that's a lie. About why girls just go home. No, sometimes for us, it really is. Plus, girls, and it's not a lie. Girls tend to take care of their family members when they're older and sicker. It's just a fact. Like when your parent gets older, you already know, hey, they're coming with me. My mom pretty much already know, and my dad to a point too know that my brothers aren't it. They automatically volunteered us as tribute, all the girls in the family. So that's another thing that men really need to look at, why your parents, whether you are a single mom or not, don't trust y'all when they're elderly to take care of them properly. And again, to your point, Themis, I didn't date. I've never like dated when I was at home. Plus, probably because my mom wouldn't have allowed it. It was her house, and I respected her wishes. Plus, I just had a huge, I don't know. I think it's probably a lot of misogyny on my point, where I just felt like, listen, if you're going to date me as a man, then you need to have your ish together. Like, it's just facts. Like, I'm okay admitting that I work, but I work and I make a certain amount. So if I'm working, I'm making 40K, and I'm telling you I'm at home with my mom, and then you're making, for the guy who did the example about bagging groceries, no, sweetheart, we are in two different income brackets and levels. You're bagging groceries, I'm not. There's a difference. And to the men in the chat who said that this video was too old to be relevant, it's not, because this is exactly what they push towards black women in movies. They admitted that. If you go on Netflix right now, you can find like 10 black love videos where the woman has, like, again, what they said, 3 different degrees. She's running a business, she's the manager, she's the CEO, but the man who she's supposed to be giving her time to is the cab driver, the taxi driver. He's bagging grocery. He has like 5 kids. He's the artist. He dropped out of college. And to this guy's point, he's a struggling artist and all of this other stuff. And we're supposed to take it. Like Candyman, I'm gonna use this as a perfect example. Was directed by a black woman, but in that movie, her boyfriend was a struggling artist. And this woman, this black woman, had a degree. She ran her own business, and she was the breadwinner. And
I am over, and this is wrong of me. Another bias coming up. I'm over the struggling artist trope. I'm actually quite over it. So, particularly because of the starter wife phenomena. And I'm not even going to get into that right now. But please be careful out there when you decide to help people, because I saw a tweet. I think Chris, you may have covered this, where a guy said, "My girlfriend thinks that we're going to get married, but as soon as I get my job and myself together, I'm going to go find my preference."
Exactly.
Yeah, don't. I am just no. All right, let's try to get through this quickly because I do have another video that I want to see if it's any better. Let's go with why me, and then Kira. Um, oh, why me? Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't. That wasn't me. Go ahead. No, I was waiting. No,
Oh,
yeah. Well, if you want me to make a like quick point, yeah, no, because in that movie, Candyman, basically he becomes like a serial killer. That was the whole
yeah.
thing. But to the thing about Chrissy in the tweet, my whole thing is this: black men know that in order to basically date out and date their preference, they have to make a certain income bracket. So, i.e., these women have standards. And when you question them about why they feel as if they have to be at a certain income level or to basically level up, in the words of Sierra, they'll let you know, oh, well, these women bring a lot to the table. And it's like, no, they're not. Because statistically speaking, black women, we hold the highest degree of any race of women in this country. So that's a
The
lie flat out. So it's like, if that is like, no, it's their skin tone and that's what they bring to the table, and that's it. So why is it that when we ask and we want you to be at the same income level with us, it's like, oh, our standards are they're like in the moon, like we're reaching, and it's like, no, we're not. Our standards are literally in the pits of hell when it
yeah.
comes like to every other race of women. There's even a video, and I would love for you to play it on here, Themis, of this woman of no color asking other women what do they look for in a partner. And it's sad to see all the black women say, oh, the man doesn't, money's not a big issue. Like, we can be their ride or die, we can help them out, we can have, and all of these women of no color is like, no, they need to have money, they need resources, they need, and long to the difference between how other socialized and how we are socialized. So no.
Hey, why me? I'm gonna move on a little bit because I think we're going to run out of time, but I do take your point and I agree regarding standards. I don't I think I think the standards are just bizarre, like bizarrely low. And the fact that people are fighting to lower them literally makes no sense to me. I think Kiera, did you speak? Kier, I
Oh
think it's
no, not
Kier.
yet.
Go ahead.
Oh well, okay. I saw this video about a few years ago, and I said the same thing. I was like, "Yeah, this is some nonsense." And I think a lot of guys they keep. It's not that they keep forgetting. I'm just gonna be honest. I just don't think that guys care about women's safety. Period. A lot of guys don't realize that a man who doesn't have as much money as his woman, they tend to be very dark. They tend to be very negative. Sometimes they tend to be very violent. And a lot of guys don't like the fact that women have more money than them, or they have more success, or that they're more intelligent than them. So that puts this woman in a possibly non-safe having issue, which for myself, I'm not going to put myself in that issue. I don't care if it's a 50-50 shot. I don't care if, oh, well, it could be a possibility, maybe, kind of, sort of. I'm not putting myself in that jeopardy. If I know
Yeah.
for a fact that men are more prone to being negative when their women have more success and more money than them, I'm not going to entertain you, period. If I know that I have more than you, I'm not going to entertain you because I already know what's going to happen. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to end well for me. And I'm not going to bet my safety against your ego. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
I appreciate that. I think Lawrence, I don't know if you want your name. So I'm gonna put black men fall off. I don't know. I don't see the rest of it. I'm gonna think that's why. But go ahead.
Well, the only thing I'm gonna say is that black men tend to fall out of the nest more often than black women, and I think that we are in a rush to leave / not leave home too early in pursuit of the wrong things, and that lack of priorities is what leads to us actually having that gap between our achievement when it comes to black women. Um, Basically, we rush out. We depend on things like side hustles and these jobs that really don't amount to much and aren't careers, and then we wonder why we don't achieve in the long run, and why when we get to 35, 40, we haven't accomplished as much. I think in our community, we need to normalize people staying home longer, receiving less of that positive reinforcement for making quick money, and actually focus on building a foundation as individuals. That's all. That's all I've got.
I agree with that. I feel like that was laced with a ton of accountability, so I'm here for it. Right, the single mother is a liability, but the breeder buck is a good man. Savan. Thank you, Vitamin. What is this? It's not us rushing out. We are kicked out. Wait, did you guys not see the stats that I just before brought up regarding men versus women and who gets kicked out? Like, I'm very confused as to why we are saying black men are kicked out of the home. Like, I don't understand why we are still saying that.
And
Please
Miss, could I say something for a second?
wait. Is that why me?
No, it's Kier 101.
Oh, all right. I think you were next, and then yeah, go ahead, and then simply sister.
Yeah, I just
like
wanted
your
to
hair,
say.
by the way.
Oh, I like her hair too. It's very pretty. I just wanted to say something for like a second about that whole, 18 everything. I just want to say for myself personally, there's nothing wrong with my mom. I completely love her. She's great and all that. But I just want to be completely honest and forefront. My mom, I'm black. My mom is black 100%. And I heard the phrase more times, I can't wait until you're 18 to get out of my house, more than the phrase I heard I love you. I'm just being honest. So
Yeah.
it's not true. Sorry, guys. It's just not true.
Yeah, I think Concern had something to say. Simply, sister, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm checking something from Concern.
Well, just to follow up on what the lady just said, with us kind of being, or black women being toxic in the sense of hurry up and get out of my house. I mean, that does happen, but we have to take into account that black women before our generation didn't even have the knowledge or the understanding that we have now. So it would be up to us to make the different decisions and train our kids, like Dennis had said earlier. We need to train them to leave the nest in a different way. or one of you guys had said that. But it's just interesting to me that men value, or these men value, women who don't have anything going for themselves over the woman who does have something going for herself. Because, I mean, just put it in perspective. We're women. I mean, it's not forever. You don't have to be here forever. Just because you're my man doesn't mean that you're going to be my man always. So what I'm going to do, just fall? I can't just fall. And then I also don't want to see us struggle. So of course I want to get out there and get it myself too. And I also want to come into the situation with something versus coming in without anything, being beautiful with no money.
I find it interesting because I don't actually wait. Why are people putting wands? Did I don't know. I find it funny because, like, in reality, these men are really hypergamous, right? When they date Black women, at least. So it's interesting that they engage in a kind of hypergamy in their real lives. Because this man is like, when I get a job and when I get my life together, I'll go marry my preference. So ostensibly, you're with a woman now that is not your preference, who is taking care of you because you don't have anything. But still, these groups will say, oh, the woman should submit. And maybe in their minds, they're thinking about the kinds of woman they would want if they had things that they wanted, like money and resources. But in the meantime, while they don't have it, who they quote unquote have access to are the women who are willing to take care of them. This is why I have an aversion. Like I don't like the idea of women lowering their standards to meet what the man needs. Like I don't like it. I can't tell people to not do it or to do it. I just know I personally don't like it. Yeah, I feel like
And
women
it's
should
an
have their standards.
that's interesting that they would even want that, but like, they want their daughters to be taken care of, or do they want their daughters to be with a man who's going to take care of them? And then what are you going to do? Force that man to stay with your daughter?
I legit thought someone was actually correcting me. And I was like, oh, I'm learning something right now. Then I read it. Why are you like this? Why are you guys like this? Homosexuals. This is not funny. I should not be laughing at this. In any
And I would
case,
add too that when you think about the avatar, the person who is who we're talking about, right? Like a lot of times these guys don't want to do better when they're in the relationship. I remember a video you commented on a while back where the guy was saying, like, white women will invest in them, or they will try to help them do better. But most of the time, these guys, like, if you give them feedback or encouragement to do better, they are so against it and they take it so defensively that you would ask them to make more money, or to, like, while you're in the relationship, encourage them to go back to school, encourage them to start a business, whatever, even under their own name. And so they want to permanently be in a beneficiary situation. I've seen it so many times over, and I've had a few conversations with male friends who will push back. They follow, for example, Kevin, and the guy will be like, oh, I make $80,000, and the girl will say, that's a great place to start. I'd like us to do better. Listen, depending on your lifestyle or where you live, that's not, you might listen.
Y'all hitting
You might be balling over there, but you're not going to ball over here.
No,
like I'm in Austin, ego. So you can't.
Wait, concern. Wait. So it's like a man comes to someone and says, "I make 80,000." He said, "That's a great place to start."
Yes, like this was a conversation thing, so it wasn't like a personal story, but they were saying hypothetically, if a guy was making $80,000, i.e., double what an average Black man makes, and he is saying, you should be willing to accept that, and she was like, that's a great place to start. And I am also of the opinion that you should be limitless. Like, you shouldn't if you are interested in something and you still have candlelight burning, you could, there's always opportunity. I'm not saying work yourself to the bone, but what my homeboy was saying was like, oh, you know,
So
you
I don't
should.
disagree with you. Obviously, everyone has their own ideas, but for me, one, I wouldn't. I find that kind of mean, but I find it kind of mean that she said that. When it comes to sort of limitlessness, I do think there is a kind of trade-off, and now I'm ready to get tomatoes thrown at me. Everyone get your tomato emoji and put it in the chat, because I do think that sometimes the work and the investment in capitalism is not worth it, right? As someone who's worked consistently for over a month for like almost 19 hours a day, I recognize that there is a trade-off in access to resources. Now, I'm going to do it and I would do it again. But I also recognize that for certain people, making $85,000 living in Georgia is good for that person, and that they don't have to engage any further. And while
But they won't grow.
Yeah, no, and while I acknowledge the hunger, while I acknowledge that being hungry for ambition is a good thing fundamentally, it also means that if you're continuously searching for more, that you will never be satisfied. This is a sort of philosophical point, and I apologize. So I don't.
I understand that to a degree.
I don't put videos on my Debunking Excellence channel, and I'm going to start, by the way. I will as soon as I move. Because I fear that my drive and my need to want more and do better is not necessarily a good thing to want other people to emulate.
Totally. I hear that, but my thing is that like there's trade-offs, right? And like obviously you're still, you know, awake for 24 hours, so that might mean that you could, you know, be available for other things. So I think
invest in crypto.
For me, it's more so that like my friend's immediate reaction was, you know, what if that is the best that he can do and all of the above? And to me, it's like, so you feel as though there's a place in which you can opt out of having to add more value, but again, there's no reciprocity there, because women are still expected to you know, never stop serving. And so to me, it's just one of those things where I just feel like, to the woman who spoke before's point, that these guys don't really, that these guys are just really thinking about, again, taking, not giving. But like when I was thinking about what this guy was saying kind of to the video overall, I first of all am so frustrated that, again, guys don't push back when people just say random things, because most of the time you'll have these guys pulling stuff out of God knows where just to say, and you know, people put credence to it. And a lot of times these men, you know, with their confidence are you know, coming across like the guy on the block or the guy in the barber shop or whatever. And so a lot of young men would give a lot of credence to what these guys are saying, and it's just not a healthy amount of accountability in terms of pushback. A lot of guys just kind of just let men talk just to be talking, and many people don't. And when I talk to my homeboys about this, like pushing back on when they're hearing things that don't make sense, a lot of them are like, you know, like everyone's entitled to their opinion and all the above. But okay, fine. But there's things that can be wrong.
I think
a lot of men struggle with that.
this leads perfectly into the next segment, which we're gonna do. Thank you, Dean. I don't know what that means, but I think this leads perfectly into the next segment, so I'll start it here. The question now is concerning street harassment, and I did start watching part of it, and I decided this is definitely something that I wanted to bring forward, right? So we have 30 minutes now. I'm going to put you guys in the background and then bring you back up if you guys are still here to talk about this. But let's watch a lot of this and then talk.
Welcome to Ask a Black Man, where we get real answers from real men. In this bonus clip of Ask a Black Man, the fellas of the Manhood episode get into a heated debate about street harassment.
If a young lady is walking down the street and she going to the bank or to the laundromat, or wherever, that's where she's going. She's not doing it for you. And if she looks good because she's a good-looking girl. And yeah, women like to look good for us, but they also like to look good for themselves. She should be her own autonomous person. She does, just her existing and walking down the street doesn't give you the right to holler at her, to talk to her, or nothing. These guys are going back and forth, and they say, well, how do you meet women? I said, well, fellas, I meet women the way I meet human beings. I meet them in social places, maybe at church or on campus or at work or at a house party, but I never made a friend by yelling at them in the streets.
What's funny?
All right. I don't understand. Wait, what? That's a trans man, right? I don't know, but I agree with him. I literally, period. Demon think those girls are popping. We need product detail. I agree with him. There is like 9 more minutes left of video. I don't know how. There could be, people are saying, yes, he's trans. Oh, did not know that. The more you know. His name is Tariq Milan. Period. I probably should have watched the video first and then look up people in it, but I wanted to watch it with you guys. So if he's trans, I didn't know that, but Ruba, is that 4B here? You have Themis. I don't know what 4B is. I know 4C, but I don't know the different hair textures. But I don't know what I have. Yeah, I don't know. Cool. So I agree with him. Women are out there. Leave women alone. I don't know. I feel like this is pretty straightforward.
About this is I do know a couple of guy friends who've met their wives by hollering at them on the street. So it's not so much. It's a weird phenomenon where a guy's going to speak to a woman on the street, but it's just that the way men are culturalized, right, is we feel that it's our job, our duty, or just compelled that they're there for us to holler at, that one or two holleration, that each guy thinks is just him, is like every guy hollering at it. And seeing these kind of things, or, understanding years ago that my wife might experience this on the street, and this kind of blew my mind, the things that we're not aware of in terms of everything being focused through the male lens.
All right. See him talking right here? He's saying a lot of nothing. That's all I have to say about him. He's saying a lot of nothing.
One dynamic I like you to think about is that women spend hundreds of dollars to look
God.
Really good.
Yeah, they do.
And I have a problem that when you look really good, you have a problem with people complimenting, approaching, or coming to you because you look really good. And as a hunter.
So I didn't get to this part. Did this man just say, as a hunter? How disgusting of a person must you be? I don't know this man. I'm not saying he's disgusting, but the sentiment is very disturbing to me. He says you spend all that money to look good. How dare you be upset that I, quote unquote, holler at you? And then he goes, as a hunter. You know what, Dean? I'm with you. I'm gonna say he did not mean to say he is a predator and a creep. That his last name is Hunter. So as a hunter, let's hear. I feel like I don't want to hear any more from him, but let's continue.
I'm gonna hunt. Where you at? I'm coming. It doesn't matter.
Dean, he definitely meant he was a predator. And he just, how are you this comfortable just saying this? This was 6 years ago also, so how do I put this? It didn't age well. And this was, I guess, before the Me Too movement, so men were very comfortable being predators, it seems.
Where you at, I'm coming. It doesn't
that-
matter.
isn't it also
if
the
if
type
I
of
am
approach?
interested,
Right.
if
It's
I
a
am-
pos- it's a
if
type
I-
of approach.
That's the key.
What
The
you
approach.
say.
The approach. So
And how
where
far
the
you go.
person is at, because I don't want to put it in the box. Wherever the person is at, that's the approach. And I think that's to the benefit of the woman.
What do you mean?
And some males, some of us get hollered at too. So based on the approach, that tells me generally your social background, your educational background, your financial background. Generally, I could put you in a box and say, no, I'm not interested. You're not my type. When I was single, let's say that part. So you understand that. So I think that there shouldn't be a rule or a box. So if you don't want to be hollered at, put yourself in a position where your body language or your image is
That doesn't work. So now I'm in a party, right? I'm the
say that part. So you understand that. So I think that there shouldn't be a rule or a box. So if you don't want to be hollered at, put yourself in a position where your body language or your image.
No, I need a man in the chat or woman who agrees with him to come on. Not even agrees. Anyone who wants to defend this, please come on. Please come on, because I don't have much time, but I will make the time today. This is trash. I don't think, and I'm going to listen, right? I'm going to listen and hope with everything in me that the other men actually push back. Because this is predatory behavior if I've ever seen one. Like, this man just said, if you don't want to be hollered at, then put yourself in a position for you not to be hollered. Wait, what? So we're just brushing off accountability, like just taking it off like it's old clothes, dirty clothing. Just I'm sure these men they are going to push back.
That doesn't work. So now I'm in a party, right? I'm the only one dressed like this, right? Everybody else is dressed in hoodies and sweatpants and stuff like that. You know, the probability is low because the type of women that are in there, they're not looking for my type.
Well, that's different. You at a party. That's where you're supposed to be hollering at people.
That's not absolute.
But back to his point.
Nothing I say is absolute.
But back
It's
to
just
his
probability.
point. My wife's gorgeous.
This is typical one-upsmanship that some guys do. It's buffoonery and doesn't deserve critical analysis. Do protest too much, right? All right. So I don't know, but my problem is he said it. There is a camera, right? Like there is a camera on you, and you're on a program talking about street harassment, right? And you feel so comfortable to say that is obviously a huge red flag. But my problem, because obviously you can say one or two. Thank you, Dean. Let me take you off so you don't think I'm responding to you. You can say one or two people are bad, but we have one man in this entire group. There is one man, only one, that is pushing back. The other guy just justified it by saying men get hollered at too. Like, really? Is that your justification? So for me, it's like what he said was trash, right? But it's not just what he said being trash. It's the environment around them allows for him to be and say, well, not be, but say this kind of trash that if you don't want to be hollered at, then you need to put yourself in a position that you don't be hollered at. So you being hollered at is your fault, right? And everyone around him, no one sees us as part of rape culture. I mean, I guess about 6 years ago, rape culture wasn't a thing, I guess. I don't know. No one is like checking him. And this one person that you guys told me was a trans man, I don't know if this is the case, but He's the only one. He is literally the only one pushing back and trying to explain that this is not okay. Like, what? Someone said, Dean says, I've heard worse. That was badly explained. Shaking my women should put themselves in a box to not get approached. That does put blame all on women for looking good or wearing something attractive. All right, good. So all the men in here are on one accord, thankfully. This is good. I have no objections yet. Let's continue.
Drop dead gorgeous. It takes her 2.5 hours to get dressed every day. You know, she wears tight clothes. She wears tight clothes because it makes her feel good. She's like very feminine. She's like, I like to feel feminine. Tight clothes feel like a hug on me. This is how I like to look. I like to look beautiful for me, and I like to look beautiful for you. Nobody else. That's who she does it for. She does it for herself first and for me second, not for any other nigga in the street. So when she's walking down the street and she flashes that ring, she says she's married and you leave her alone. Now, my wife literally, she can't, no, it's not gonna happen.
What do you mean not gonna happen? I'm gonna continue because he is literally making me mad.
And it's mess, and it bothers me, yo. So my wife, she can't even leave. She can't even leave the house. Yeah, it bothers me that people don't respect the fact that she can't.
Of course it. Wait, did he just say it's a compliment? All right, wait. All right, back a lot up. This man is explaining a phenomena that happens to women, and he is pointing out that with his wife it happens too, and it bothers him. This one, let me not attempt to say what I think he's going to say and have him say it before because I don't like having to go back. So
No, don't compliment my wife. If she tell you she married, she's not there for you. No, real talk. It's not for your gaze. Every woman is not for all of us.
Now
she's not for
are
you. You know what I mean? She's not for you. She's for me.
Wait, what do you mean now you are like, who is this man? I feel like he's just there to be a troublemaker. I don't believe. Well, I mean, I've seen this on the manosphere, honestly, so maybe it's real, but
she's for herself.
So you're saying,
you know,
wait.
So let me finish what tell you. Let me finish what tell you what happened. So literally, she can't walk down the street by herself. Literally, she literally can't.
Look. I am disgusted not just by him, but by all of them. Like, this is kind of funny to them because they're like, in their minds, I'm assuming they're like, oh, he's weak and like, why can't he just man up? And it feels like in the masculine, let's call it the masculine, in this space, right, his position is seen as unimportant, irrelevant, and just out of place. And the fact that that is the case, but the fact that there is a feeling that his attempt to say we should respect women, right, and not like shout them down on the street, it seems like it is inconsistent with the space that he's in. So the question then becomes, what kind of space is he in? Because you can say he doesn't say anything and he doesn't say anything, right? These two at the end, watch the mouse, they didn't say anything, but they are laughing with what he is doing and no one else is correcting him. So for me, they're all disgusting. It's not just like one person being disgusting. They all are, the ideas are trash to me. Let me continue.
She literally can't walk down the street by herself. There's been times that I've been on the phone with her. I've been on FaceTime, have niggas getting her camera. People touching her. She was in the airport. She has her sleep. Touched her.
Too much
Touched
energy
her.
into this.
No, I have to put this energy into because it's my wife and it's her safety and it's about violence. There have been times. There have been times men followed my wife down the street. There was times she was waiting for the bus and she had to get on the phone with me because there were guys sitting across from her and you laughing, but this shit scares her. As a woman, as a wife, was my wife who.
This is disgusting. Like, actually watching this, it's kind of disgusting to see all of them. And it's almost like, I guess this is what Donald Trump was talking about when he says locker room talk, because it doesn't make sense that his view, like, I am so weirded out by the fact that his views are so inconsistent with these random group of men. Like, this man is talking about his wife and passionate about protecting his wife, and the fact that the culture allows for too much kind of just harassment, and people are just kind of like, yeah, whatever, why are you mad? Men will be men, though theme. Oh my God, I know you did not just say that. I know you absolutely did not open that statement with that. Men will be men. I could go into so many ways this is a problem. I can go into so many ways this allows for abuse. I can go into so many ways. Like you are saying, you just said it. Men will be men. The theme is in perfect world, men would not approach women who are taken. It's not us men's nature for the most part. That's why they are all laughing. The dude is in opposition is trans. So it takes a trans man to explain to you what. Wait, I don't understand. Like you are saying this is men's behavior. Men will be men. Like, do you understand that this is an excuse? Like it doesn't excuse the behavior. It absolutely does. What you just, I don't know. Maybe this is the problem. Because I don't think you guys understand how your lack of speaking up actually contributes to the destructive community that exists. Like when you say men will be men, and you talk about how this is what men do, and it's probably inconsistent because he's trans, and then you go on to say, oh, but it doesn't excuse the behavior. You have mentally excused the behavior. You have accepted that men will be men, and this is how men operate. Like, what are you? Orange pill, we're getting along fine. Let's not mess it up right now, because the whole men will be men thing is not it. No, absolutely not. No, men will not be men. Men will be in prison if you continue to go this route. Men will be men equal, and excuse for my bad behavior is built into our yeah. Let me finish this up. I'm Orange Pill, we were on such a good sort of frequency all this show where you were saying, oh, the behavior is abhorrent. Now you're saying man will be man. Also, I mean, who said that man was trans? I don't know. I don't know if he's trans, but I was literally about to say, at least there was one good man among them. And even if he's trans, he's still a man. So there is at least one good man among them. Let's continue.
Was a woman who has been sexually abused and have been doing these things. And let me tell you, 90, and I'm gonna tell you something, hold on, let me tell you something. 87, I'm gonna say about 85% of the black women I know have experienced some type of sexual violence or some type of something dealing with men. These things give them anxiety. It makes them afraid. She literally is afraid. That shit is not cool. Just because, and the thing is that white niggas act like they ain't never seen a good looking girl before.
Let him jump on it. Let him jump on it.
Like, what is that?
Can I just say this one thing? What's wrong with that being a benefit of being so beautiful?
But it doesn't benefit her. She's telling them it makes me uncomfortable. She's saying it scares me. It makes me uncomfortable. Stop talking to me. She tells these guys I'm married. You can't be married. You look too young. Why are you out here by yourself? No, nigga. She don't want no conversation.
This is sad. This is like it's like I don't understand why this needs explaining. A woman does not want you to yell, holler at her. It might be a benefit for her. How does she not see that? She does not want you to do it. Don't do it. Like I don't. There is nothing complicated about that. Like, is your urge so strong that you have to act on it? You might need to go see a therapist for that. Like, if you cannot contain yourself, you like there is no conversation. Why is there a conversation? You should not be harassing people on the street, period. That's it. Like there is nothing to talk about. There is nothing to analyze. There is nothing to debate. There is nothing to theorize. She does not want it. Don't do it.
Like, it scares her, so it's not. So it doesn't feel. That's what I'm saying. Like, she doesn't need any other man to validate that she's beautiful. I tell her that. That's all she needs.
Let me say something that's strange. I don't have a reason for it yet. A long time ago, when I met my wife, and I used to get a little ticked off if guys pulled in the car and they're like, "Dang, look at those legs." and I'm walking with her, you know, that made me kind of my blood boil. And I got to the point where I was like, let me turn that around because I can't let this freak me out my whole life, right? I'm not gonna be insecure about this, right?
Insecurity.
That will destroy everything.
It is not about you. It is not about you and your insecurity. He expressed that his wife does not like it. It is not about you owning a woman. It's not about you feeling insecure about someone calling after your woman. I mean, some of that could be true. I don't know. I don't care. It is nothing about you. Nothing about you. I don't like this person. He is the villain, but he is definitely just disgusting to me. It is not about you. Like, you are telling him that he needs to get over it and that he needs to not be insecure. It is not about insecurity. Even if he is insecure, he has not articulated anything about him being insecure. He's talking about his wife not liking this. It has nothing to do with insecurity. But why not shame him and make him feel bad for wanting to protect his wife? Why not do that? Because that's what you're doing now.
Everything.
Absolutely.
So I said, you know, I started. They do look good, don't they, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to change it up like that.
With you. But how does she feel about that?
So let me change it up.
That's the thing.
So here's what happens.
But how does she feel?
No, this is important. Now, she carries herself a certain way in the street. She does get hollered at, right? But this is interesting. And I've asked her, and I have sisters. I had also grew up with a lot of women, and I have a lot of girlfriends who I've asked. Some women, and this is bizarre, some women get hollered in the street all the time in kind of a foul way.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure why.
Particularly black women.
All right. My wife gets hollered at in the street, but it's always, hey, sister, wow, you look beautiful. Let me just compliment you. There's something, you know, and I said, babe, no dude is hollering at you like disrespectful. No, they don't.
Right on point.
I got another, you know, and I have some who don't get hollered at all.
That's right.
And they're like, I can't even get it. Right. So there's something in the way, and I think it's foul, right? And because not foul. There's something wrong because as much as we want to say, well, did you have a little cleavage? Did you have the tight clothes? What did you wear? And how did you carry? You know, because I don't want to. When my white friends can walk out in the street with jeans and t-shirt, I hate the fact that I got to do this every day.
Exactly.
Have a running with.
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute my mic momentarily, scream really loudly in the corner, and then come back. I'm not actually going to scream. I'm just going to walk away for 2 seconds for dramatic effects because that's how annoyed I am. All right. I'm back. I will not respond to that at all. I'm going to go back because I might have misheard. I will not respond to it, but
When my white friends can walk out in the street with jeans and t-shirt, I hate the fact that I got to do this every day.
Exactly.
To not have a run-in with a cop. I'll do it.
Exactly.
I'll do it. But I'd love to just put on some jeans and sneakers one day and look just cash.
Oh, actually, we'll say something about this. So, in his mind, black men are being killed by the police, right? This man just analogized black men being killed by the police with black men interaction with black women, quote unquote, being hollered at. I don't know if you saw the irony in that. It sure is not lost on me. That's why you need to stop. Right, if you can conceptualize, right? So he's like, I have to dress up like whatever. I think you think this looks good. It doesn't. Yeah, I did ad hominem. Yeah. So I think he's like, I have to look like this because altercation with the police might be bad for me, right? So I dress this way. So women, if you don't want alterations to be, I don't think he understands it. If you're saying police could kill you, that's why you dress that way. So women, if you don't want to be hollered at, dress that way. You're equating you black men being killed by the police to black men engaging with black women. I don't know if you understand how horrible that analogy is, and I don't have the patience because my mind is going like 50 miles per hour right now, right? So I'm going to ignore this and move on.
and not people, investigate my clothing at a store when I'm just trying to shop, and think I'm walking away with something. So I don't think that it's fair for us to always be putting that on women just because they have their breasts bubbling out a little bit, right?
When you were talking, this is what I was thinking. Pit bulls, right? You show fear, they're gonna dominate you. You show that you are irrelevant, they won't even look at you. They'll growl and you look at them like, and that's it. Same with some men who are dogs. Why am I pointing at myself?
Perfect. That's the way I'm going to end it. He said, so that's the same with some men who are dogs, and he pointed at himself. Well, at least something good came out of this, and it's the realization that the action you exhibit is dog behavior. I am so done with you and this. All right. We have 2 minutes. I'm going to add Impossible and Dean, and you guys have each 30 seconds. I apologize. I have to keep my 2-hour time to talk.
Okay. Well, I was just going to repeat something I said in the chat, which is I think part of the problem is that for a lot of men, black men especially, we're taught early on too much to tether a lot of our masculinity, like qualification of our masculinity, based upon how many girls we can pull or how well we can spit game and stuff like that. And so when a woman rejects a man's advance, that's part of where I think a lot of this attempt to rationalize why we should be able to holler or cat call. And it's like, bro, you're missing the point. The point is this is a matter of like just interpersonal respect between two people. If someone tries to talk to you in public and you're like, yo, I want to be left alone, and like, oh, why can't you just be more friendly? Why can't you just it's like, yo, that's not the matter. That's not the issue. The issue at hand is I have my personal space to respect that. So I think that's the thing that a lot of guys tend to forget because of the fact that from the time we're early on, we're indoctrinated with the false idea that our masculinity, how manly we are, is somehow wrapped up in how many girls we can pull or what's our body count or how much game we got. And I think what we could do as men right now is we can start to try to shift the culture around in which we acknowledge each other's masculinity outside of any of that. So that that insecurity is not it's not baked into us as we grow up. So that if you try to say hi to a girl and she rejects you, you don't feel small or less of a man. You're like, oh, okay, I guess she's just didn't want to talk to me or whatever, and that's her business. And that's because it's like, like you said, it's really simple. The girl doesn't want to talk to you, let it be. That's it.
Yeah. SF said, Themis, are you going to respond to Jaren? I was, but I decided to let it go. And the reason, Jaren, what is your problem? Leave the tough guy stuff outside. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to respond to him, actually. I'm not a fighter. I think that resorting to physical violence, if you are in a conversation, is literally one of it's base. Let's say that. Dean, take us away.
Yeah, I want to say Impossible. Great job with the debate. Not yesterday. I couldn't have done a better job myself, and I agreed with your stance. But this is going to sound terrible, Themis. I've heard a lot worse said when guys can get around and start to kind of one up each other and start reinforcing these type of toxic things, I guess. And it's a lack of maturity, which is surprising considering the age of those guys. But I wouldn't necessarily give it grounds for doing some type of a deep dive on. But with the cameras off, it's even worse sometimes. More often than not, it doesn't really mean anything. But psychologically, right, it's probably reinforcing some behaviors and I just want to say don't feel like, oh, my virgin ears, like it's just part of that tough talk that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, I'm gonna end now and then come back. Don't leave, because I want to do a 1 minute after show. So let's do this and come back. I do get you. It wasn't this bad, but I changed barbershops the other day, and while I was cutting my hair, it was very annoying because the person was like, getting your haircut is too intimate for me." But um, he was just like talking, and they were talking, and I remember saying, he was like, "Isn't that right, young man?" And I was like, "No, you're wrong." And I realized this man has what essentially is a weapon over my neck. And I thought for the first time, maybe he's gonna kill me. But oddly enough, I'm not saying, well, I'm gonna say it, the vibe in the barbershop kind of changed. Um, they all disagreed with me, but they weren't like overtly hostile if they were hostile. And I do think maybe because, and this is true, I mean, people are honest when they say, I might not have been raised in the kind of environment that lends itself to someone who is like going to be fighting random people. But I think we should be a little bit more braver, obviously, safety in mind, to go out and say, "You're wrong" sometimes, or "That's inappropriate," or maybe engage more in conversation. I know it's a lot. Like, I understand that it's a lot to go against like a group of people. I actually felt that way in the barbershop, but I mean, you have the audacity to ask me my opinion, so I'm gonna tell you. Um, but I do think that I do think that we should speak up more. And Impossible said something about trying to change the culture, and I think it's important that we start talking, because if we're silent, these ideas ultimately, I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but I do believe it takes hold, and the little jokes become serious after a time. Respond to that, Dean, and then we're done.
No, I'm you and I are probably the same in that case where like if I don't believe in something, I'm not going to go along to get along.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't owe anything to these people. Not to these people. I just don't. I'm independently thinking that way. But there's a lot worse that's said sometimes, and yeah, I think if we really cared about the development of our young boys, we'd probably stop doing that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Thank you both. I'm very excited. One, Dean, that we agreed completely throughout the stream. I think mostly. Maybe I was wrong and I didn't catch enough comments. So I appreciate that. T. Patrick, welcome, new member. Again, membership content will start as soon as I go to my next place. I know I said this a lot about that next channel. I promise the reason I've been pausing for so long is because I do have a fear of trying to superimpose my ideals on other people, and I really don't like that, but I'm going to do it anyway. People decide to watch or not watch if they want. It's fine. Separately, not this Sunday. This is the Fridays live. I am not doing a live on Friday. I'm going to put up a video, so that. And next week, Sunday, I will be doing a live show with the moderators, and we will be discussing Squid Game. It's not a huge deal. We're just going to sit and discuss Squid Game. And if you have not seen Eternals, and you're looking at the reviews, in my opinion, it was good. So you should probably watch it. And come get ready to talk about Squid Game and maybe the Eternals. So that is not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. This Sunday I will be in New York, so that's why. Oh, if you're there, say hi. I will have security. I won't have security. Have a good one. Bye. If you're backstage, you can stay backstage. It's gonna be on for a while. Squid Game is awesome. It is. Squid Game. Yeah. I just wanted to do something chill so that we can just chat. My blood pressure was high just now watching this foolishness. I